TeamSport Warrington. One of the best tracks I've driven on so far, yet simultaneously the only track I've ever DNF'd from. Last time I was here, I came during a cold snap on an empty stomach and learned very quickly why that combo is the perfect amount of nope to knock me ill and force me to retire from a 40-lap race halfway through.
I feel sick.
However, today, we're back, and my goal is simple. I have to survive TeamSport Warrington. We've got the usual gang with us here today, but also along for the ride we have Xavier, bit of a guest appearance. He doesn't come karting as often as we'd like, but he was able to make it here today, which is always nice to see. This was a mental race, as Warrington races usually are, with blisteringly fast karts and thankfully less yellows than last time. But thanks to an incident you're about to see, this race might contain the most overtakes I've ever done. There isn't really a whole lot more to say here, so I'm just going to jump us straight ahead to the grid and just get started with the race as quickly as I can. And the lights go green and it's time for us to start, and Josh gets a blinding start down the inside, absolutely carving his way through the field. We all make it through turn 1 relatively unscathed, now into turn 2, and...
Oh, no.
How the hell have I managed to spin in turn 2? This is not a good statement to make, but I could sit here and sulk about it, or I could start the recovery drive of a bloody lifetime here. Okay, so admittedly, we're out of podium contention thanks to that spin, but I've gone from P20 to P15 thanks to one admitted spin and 4 clean overtakes on the first lap. We're about to jump up to P14 because right here, Nathan has apparently met an unfortunate fate. Nose first into the barriers at turn 2, so that's a shame for him, but don't worry, that won't be the last we see of him, because now that he's within my part of the field, and we're just going to sneakily sneak our way down the inside of this guy. But back to Nathan, trust me, he will rear his head around. There's another spin. I'm just claiming positions back the same way I did in the last race, to be honest. Shortly after the yellow restart, I'm just able to throw it down the inside of this guy here for a nice clean overtake. And then a little later on, we get our first lap, completely clear track with no yellows to impede. And this is where I start to get a feel for what the track is like to actually drive on. A little bit of bump of the barriers. You'll notice I'm actually using my ERS this time because 1, I actually have a light on my steering wheel indicating it works, and 2, I actually remembered to try and use it. And this track is definitely a lot of fun to try and hot lap on. I'm gonna have to come here for a practice session one day because I've only been here for races. There's a free overtake down the inside of that person there, which in turn frees me up for the first instance of being able to take this straight completely flat out. There's the rest of the pack, so I need to do some serious driving and not make mistakes like that in order to catch up to them. A little bit of contact with the barriers left and right there, but as long as I just keep my head down, don't spin like everyone else seems to be doing, and remember the ERS, maybe I can close the distance. Now this guy here proved to be one of the most stubborn people I tried to overtake all race, because I've been stuck behind him for at least half a lap now. I try and move down the inside here, but I don't have the straight line speed to make it stick. That puts Nathan on my outside, who very cleanly cuts to the inside to overtake us both in one very clean maneuver. Well done there, Nathan. And I'm still stuck behind our friend here. I've got the straight line speed to deal with him, I just don't have the gap to get past. I go for the inside, he closes that off immediately, so I'm still kind of stuck behind him. He's holding his defensive lines really well, but I managed to find the gap here and just managed to slip through. And now I've got to try and catch Nathan. Fortunately, Nathan gets held up by a little bit of traffic and then red light, so I pull up next to him and have a little chit-chat about how it's gone so far. Hey, you recovered well.
Oh.
What happened to you?
I spun out.
Yeah, I span out right at the start, so I'm essentially out of contention now. Ever the eloquent and descriptive individual that is Nathan. What happened, Nathan? I span out. Well, technically you were right, but you didn't need to Kimi Räikkönen me with those details, mate. Now here's an example of me being a reckless idiot. Nathan brakes as a reactionary to that spun out guy there, and I just knock him out of the way. The nerve of me calling those two overtakes is off the charts, but I'll be honest, I can do what I like. It's my video. You can put your slander in the comments. I don't care. I'm just counting whatever I feel like. Now, I haven't seen anyone for a while here, so I've just been hot lapping my way around the track. I met up my corner entry here, and that's Nathan on my outside, because his recovery drive was absolutely brilliant. We round the corner here, and there's someone facing the wrong way who didn't have the presence of mind to just turn around. I let Nathan through here. I'm not sure if it's a combination of me not wanting to fight him or me feeling bad about the way I bumped past him earlier on, but I just let him straight through, which turned out to be a waste of time because we're actually now pulling into the pits to swap our karts around so that we don't run out of battery in the second half of the race. So, 27 overtakes in the first half. I haven't passed out due to the lack of nutrition or cold hands. And, well, it's been a pretty decent recovery drive so far. So let's just get straight back into the second half and see how well I do there. After the outlap, I find myself behind Nathan, who in turn is stuck behind a back marker here. He signals at the space on the inside, so I try the move, but he holds it pretty well until a spun out person holds him up, causing me to be able to just slip by with no problems. Another spun out person there impedes both me and this guy in front of me, but now the track is wide open for us to really open the taps down the Monaco straight and see what we can do. Now, if you're a long-time viewer, you'll know that I have a terrible habit of trying to send it down gaps that don't exist, and this is no exception. There was no space on the inside there, and I still threw it down the inside looking for it, and it's let two people through as I tried to recover from that. That was just foolish on my part. I really need to learn to stop doing that. But that means I need to start catching up to these two, and hopefully the guy who's holding me up can hold them up, which seems to be happening because a little bit of a skirmish between him and Nathan happens up ahead. Means I can overtake this guy on the inside, and then I just need to give chase to these two here. Coming into turn one, the three of us are all barreling in here. I try and get Nathan on the inside, but he switches to the inside of the next corner, has a bit of a skirmish with the guy in the grey helmet, who switches to the inside of the next corner, takes Nathan out completely, and I use that opportunity to slip by just before the yellows. That is, again, very unfortunate for Nathan, but I have the fullest confidence he's going to be able to catch back up to me, because that's just what he does. A little bit later on, I see someone getting black flagged, and from my perspective, it genuinely looked like it was Nathan who was being flagged. I'm in a state of disbelief at this point, because quite frankly, I've gotten away with some ridiculous things that should have got me flagged and have gotten me flagged at other tracks. Well, one other track so far. And Nathan was an innocent bystander in all this. Fortunately, it wasn't him that got black flagged, and he's going to explain as soon as he manages to catch up to me, which won't take him long. Now, coming up is one of the most confusing lapses in concentration I've ever had. We're under yellows right now, but for whatever reason, I hit the ERS button and try and throw it down the inside of this guy under the yellow flag, because I was dead convinced that for a split second, the flags had turned to green. Do you want to know how I reached this conclusion? Look up here. Do you see that? That little green light right there. That's what I saw in my split second lapse in concentration and immediately mistook it for a green flag. Whoops. A little later on, we're tailing Xavier right here, who sees me coming by looking to the left here, and then immediately covers his inside line coming into this corner. Nice! I tell him what I think of that move. I shouted nice at him, but he thinks that I was getting frustrated at him, so he waves his arms in apology. I've still got to get past him, though, and he's no slouch. He is currently at the back of the grid, but that's because A, he started there, B, this is his first karting race in about 6 months, C, he's never been to Warrington before, and D, I'm not thoroughly sure he's even been on an electric kart similar to this one before. So all things considered, with all those variables in play, he actually ran a pretty decent race. Unfortunately, tradition dictates that I show you this. He's been defending pretty well so far, but he absolutely scuffs up that defense there, basically spinning out and letting me straight through. Sorry, Xavier, but it's on the overtake counter. I couldn't not show it. To quote our dear friend Ryan's favorite meme, "You can't park there, sir." Now let's just cheekily throw it down the inside of this individual here, and a little bit later on we're battling with this guy who has proven very stubborn to get past, and then on my inside, oh great, it's Nathan who has the inside line in this corner and slips by pretty comfortably. But now I hatch a plan. If I can stick to the back of Nathan, maybe I can use him as a scythe to carve through all the back markers, because he seems to be having a much better recovery drive than I am, because every single time he spins out, he catches up in the space of about 10 laps, so I'm going to try and follow him the best of my ability and see what I can do with him. And lo and behold, the additional pressure means he makes a mistake, and I accidentally barge him out of the way as I just slip straight past him, and I try and get a little bit fresh with Nathan and try and overtake on the inside of the Monaco straight, but it's a yellow flag, which will eventually progress into a red, so we can have a little chat with him about that black flag that happened and see what really went down. Thanks for helping me get past that guy. Do you get black flag?
No, the guy that attempted, mate, that was attempted murder.
Alright, because all I saw on my cam was a black flag being waved and you going by, so it was the guy who spun you out.
Yeah, I think it was
Alright.
12 or so.
I'm baffled I didn't get black because I tried a really dangerous move through there. I shouldn't have done it, but fortunately.
Some of these moves are hard, but...
I learned right quick that is not an overtaking corner.
No, yeah, I saw you did.
After the restart, I'm tailing this guy with the blue shoulders here, who's in between me and Nathan. He brakes heavily going into this corner, means he opens up the gap on the inside for a very clean overtake. But even though me and Nathan just had that conversation about how turn 5 is not an overtaking corner, I still try the move anyway, but unfortunately I can't make it stick right here, but I just managed to make it stick here because I think my kart has a bit more speed than his does. He is notably slower in this session, so I think he's actually having kart troubles. Here's another cheeky little freebie, and I'm feeling a little bit guilty about that pass I just did on Nathan, because from my perspective during the race it felt dirty. It seemed fine in the footage, but I don't know how bad it actually was, but regardless, I let Nathan through again, just because I'm trying to be a good sport, but maybe I can get by one more time with a cleaner move? We'll have to see. Now, several laps here have gone by of me tailing Nathan like an obedient little puppy, but he's being held up by some backmarker traffic up here, so maybe an opportunity's brewing. He's having the main racing line slowed down, so I'm able to throw it straight down the inside and make the move stick on the up-ramp. But now, I need to get the guy who has been slowing him down. He gets a wide entry into this corner here and basically lifts to let me through, and that right there is the final overtake of the race because the checkered flags start waving, and I have finally made it to the end of a TeamSport Warrington race. I'm very happy with myself, and that sentiment is reflected when I say to this guy the following as I cross the line. I made it! Something which, in turn, he found absolutely hilarious because when we finally pulled into the pits, he walked up to my car with this playing on his phone. But man, speaking of that race, that was a mental one. P1 went to Josh, which after that absolutely blinding start, I'm not surprised. Well done, Josh, you did a fantastic job. P2 went to Will, even though the timing system scuffed him, knocked him down to P5 and denied him a trophy at first. Whoopsie doodle. P3 went to Ellis. I believe P5 went to Ryan. P6 went to myself, which is incredibly poetic because that's the position I was in when I retired from the first race. And P7 went to Nathan because I just managed to sneak ahead of him in the closing stages of the race. You might notice from my background footage that Ryan seems absolutely miffed by something. And trust me, if he ever gets his video out on TeamSport Warrington, you're going to understand why, because he's had a bit of a brawl with the person who was in front of him. I don't mean like an actual fist fight, I mean the driving was a bit questionable. Now, this video is a lot later than I wanted it to be because I wanted to stagger my uploads a little bit, and what that ended up resulting in was I went on a 2-week Starfield and No Man's Sky binge, completely forgot that I was a YouTuber, and completely forgot to make this video. Now, I've spent the last 4 days in an editing frenzy because I don't want to wait too long between uploads and blah 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 blah, but it's finally here. And I hope you enjoyed it very much, because this was a fantastic race. They're all fantastic races. I love karting so much, man. I wish I was on the track right now, to be honest, instead of just sat in this chair talking into a microphone, but alas, it is late at night, and money is getting, less and less potent in my life, but that's okay. Big shout out to the boys because you make every single race enjoyable. I appreciate the fact that you all come out to these races with me, the fact that we organize all these races and we get to go to all these different tracks together. I honestly really do appreciate it. Karting is a pretty big thing in my life right now, and it's, as cheesy as it is to say, it's kind of given my life a little bit of purpose, and this channel has definitely given me some purpose. The support I get from you people is absolutely off the scale. I love waking up in the morning, opening the YouTube Studio app on my phone and just reading comments because you people just seem to be the nicest people on the planet. So thank you very, very much. The next video will either be at TeamSport Stoke for my very, very awkward return to that place I had a couple of weeks ago, or it will be the TeamSport Coventry race that I'm going on at the end of this week that I will start editing immediately so I don't fall into another, oh, it's fine, I can do it later procrastination trap. So, until then, I hope you enjoyed this video, thank you very much for your continued support, and I will see you in the next video.